Twitter, joined by EJ the Savage, and at the moment, no VP. I know he's doing some hurricane recovery, disaster recovery stuff down here in Florida as he was impacted. So we'll see if he pops in later or not. Shout out to him. I know he just got power back, so he's probably embracing that. Castaway Podcast, where can we be found? Everywhere, basically. Anywhere you get your podcast content. If it's a streaming service, you can find us. The best spot to go, though, is going to be Spotify. On Spotify, they now have incorporated the video portion of the podcast, so you can see these dashingly handsome faces versus having to wake up on Sunday and watch it. You can watch it in hindsight or arrears, whichever you like. So Spotify, YouTube, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, wherever you like to get your podcasts, you can find us there. Been gone for a couple weeks, and we are back. EJ, how's your couple of weeks been? You've been in these streets. You've been streeting.
Man, I took the old lady out to, for her birthday, did a little quick trip.
The old ball and chain.
Yeah, man. First time I've ever been out with a significant other or something like it. Never had any issues, no problems. She's the best travel mate, just goes with the flow, taking shots, just doing our thing, talking to people. It was a dope time, man. So
where'd you
my allergies are on 1 million.
Where'd you go?
You're gonna be mad at me. You're gonna be mad at me when you learn where I went. Went to South Beach.
South Beach what?
Florida.
South Jersey Shore?
South Beach, ass. Miami.
Oh, I see. See, this is why I don't fuck with black chicks. They break up families. Steve, why don't you like black women? Because they break up families.
Yeah, we went to Miami. We went to Fort Lauderdale. I've never been to Miami.
I know you had said that a few times. How did you guys end up there? Was that your choice? Was that something she had friends or family there? Like, how'd you get there?
Well, her mom's from Connecticut and her dad's from Miami area, I would say. But she's never been to Miami. So she had her passport expired and she was like, "Oh, well, it's gonna come on time." I was like, "No, woman, you don't know no better. So let's just do something domestic." And so, we decided to do that there. So we were there for the early part of the hurricane situation. And, it was cool. We went to a place in Miami called Batch. Shout out to Batch. That was a good little spot. They had a bunch of Latinas working. You would have liked it.
Duh.
But dope. Yeah, it was dope.
So did you guys make it down to Ocean Drive? Like where Wet Willie's and all that is at? Wet Willie's Fat Tuesdays and all that, or you didn't make it to that area?
We literally went to Wet Willie's. We didn't make it to Fat Tuesdays because it was raining so hard, but we literally went to Wet Willie's. Wet Willie's is super overrated. I can see how as a 21-year-old it'd be popping. I can see that.
And 10, 20 years ago when you would pop in there, you would see people there. Like you pop in and see, athletes, rappers, you know what I'm saying? Executive, music exec, shit like that, right? Now you go in there, you see us, you see everyday people, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I think it's not as popping as it was. Fat Tuesday, same sentiment. I mean, the frozen drink joints. You gotta love that. Gotta love walking up and down Ocean Drive. I love Ocean Drive just because it has that feel. You walk up and down, and a lot of good restaurants out there, and pricey, probably overpriced if you will, but it's nice, man. Beachside like that. I'm glad you out there. Weather was probably nice until the storm started to brew.
Oh, the weather was horrible. It was raining. That's why we didn't make it to Fat Tuesday
the whole time
because it was just pouring. Yeah, the weather was horrible the whole time. It was probably like one day that it was okay. But Fort Lauderdale was cool. I liked Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach. That was dope. Like I would go back to
Mhm.
Pompano Beach because it's like a more retirement, more local feel. I found Yankees fans, Jets fans out
Oh,
there.
of course.
It was
You
lit.
definitely gonna find. You always gonna find Yankee fans in Florida.
Always gonna find a
Always.
Yankees fan. Always gonna find a Yankees
Yeah.
fan. But
Yeah.
found a
You could
Jets
be
fan. It
in
was dope.
Potunk backwoods. Matter of fact, speaking of Potunk backwoods, I went to go check out this lobster restaurant yesterday. This is off par. And drove down the street and saw this, and I'm surprised this shit didn't blow away in the hurricane, but there's this little shack with a sign that said the Trump store, and they had everything you could think of Trump out there. And it wasn't even like a building. I'm telling you, yo, it was like it was like a shack of wood, like a homeless shack that somebody just threw together. Like, yo, how did this shit make it through the fucking hurricane, yo? But
Hilarious.
that's a tangent.
I w-
Um,
I was surprised to see in South Florida so many Kamala Harris supporters. Like on the beach, these big mansions had their shit flying like Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris. It was crazy.
yeah, I
I thought
think
South Florida was like Bari.
you well, usually South Florida, it's really the Cubans. It's the Cubans, the Cuban
Spanish.
families, and the rich people down there. Some
Mhm.
of the rich people that usually go right wing. But I think, like, historically, yeah, I just think it's starting, the tide is turning a little bit, and more so maybe just because of who the person is. Like, you know what I'm saying,
The antics.
dog? I just can't see in good faith how anybody could really sit back, take everything else out that we know. You know what I'm saying? Everything else out that we know of what he did, even if you take his first 4 years out, just look at
Mhm.
what you could look at, just what he's been doing from campaigning right now from a Trump standpoint, and he ain't saying shit. Like, you could take out, the problem is, you got a lot of far left people like VP and stuff that like to fact check all this shit. You could stop fact checking and saying, "Oh, look what he did 4 years." You don't even have to do that anymore. You could say, "Dog, look what he said 2 weeks ago." What has he said in the last month that would make you want to vote for this guy? Forget about who it is. Just say, you could take the name off the jersey. That's what they say, right? Take the
Right.
names off the jersey in sports. Take the name off the jersey. It wasn't Trump. If this was fucking John Smith and they were running the same campaign that Trump is running right now and answering the questions the way they are and looking how crazy, he sounds, with how could somebody with good faith say that's the person's whose hands I need to put this country in? You know what I'm saying?
But we did it before. But and here's the thing. And you're right. And Trump, we've said this before.
What up, Ja?
We don't even think he wanted to be president, right? But the problem also is that our party doesn't acknowledge that we've been so trash as a party that we can't galvanize our following the way that we need to. Because as Democrats, I don't feel comfortable either, Like I watched Obama criticize black men, and then I post in the chat, how the woman talks about, and she criticizes Obama for basically criticizing black men who in large vote like black women, right? Why are we getting shitted on? You know what I mean? Like, and this is coming from a president Obama who didn't do a goddamn thing for black men. Let's just
Well, I
keep it
don't.
100.
I think it's kind of spun out of control a little bit. Like, I had somebody who's a Trump supporter say to me, "Oh, look, now Obama's telling you you're not black if you don't vote for this person." And I think it's kind of been, magnified to this great, what he said. Now, Biden, we know, is clear. He said, "You don't vote for
If
me,
you
you ain't
ain't
black." He
black,
said it word for word. But the way I
and
feel
we
like,
were cool with that.
but what I feel like, Obama was saying was like, "Yo," in the same thing I'm saying, like, in good faith, if you're brown, Like if you're brown, of any type of brown skin tone, you should not feel okay. And if you're a brown man, we've led for the last 10, 12 years, but maybe a little less than that, this whole charge of protect black women. And I know you and I always talk about where's the protect black men, but that's a whole different story, whole nother topic. Protect black women, protect black women, protect black women, and it has to happen, right? And there's an opportunity to, just like it happened with Obama, to show little black girls that this is what you can be in the future. Like as a father, you should, and if you have daughters and anyone, I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking in general, you
Mm-hmm.
should feel obligated to do that, to show your daughter, to have your daughter live 4 years in this country, seeing a president of someone that looks like her versus a fucking sexy red who's out there just shaking her ass and giving that as the next person to look up to. Granted, we are now
That's
seeing
what you got
W
from Obama.
that's how I interpreted it. I think it was said a little differently and I think it was accepted differently, but I think that was
Mm-hmm.
part of what the intent was. That me personally, you know what I'm saying? That's my intent.
But yeah, no, I get it, and I mean to the person that even responded to him, I get it. But you're also, and I look at it in a vacuum. You're also a guy who, for black people, you didn't want to be the black people's champion. You wanted to be everybody's president, right? So what gives you the
Mhm.
right now to try to speak to us when you didn't do a lot for us? You really didn't. You know what I'm saying? We like, come on, it's a lot of shit on the table here. You picked the guy that sponsored the 94 crime bill. And you know what happens with Democrats that I hate being a Democrat, right? We talk about all the wild shit that the Republicans do, but when it comes to the shit that we've done as Democrats, oh yeah, it was just a mistake. Fuck it. The crime bill put a lot of people behind bars for bullshit and fucked their lives up, right? But we just supposed to look the other way about that. And Biden was one of the champions. So I get it. You know, we're going with the party. We're going with the lesser
But
of
I
the
I
two.
do I do agree with VP the way he responds to that, and I'll let you finish. I just
No,
want to
go ahead.
respond to that. I agree with him that a lot of times, specifically that bill, the crime bill, we're looking at it in hindsight. We're looking at it with 2024 eyes. We're looking at it
No,
years upon years later versus being in that moment and thinking, what is the best thing? Sometimes you make decisions, you have to make a decision, you have to roll something out and it's half baked. You can't, it's not always going to be like the apple pie where you can wait for it to turn brown. The crust is brown, now it's good. Sometimes the inside is going to be raw on some of the fucking decisions that you have to make and hope that it's, that there's good intent behind it. You know what I'm saying? And I think ultimately
right.
that's what that was it probably piss poor, and if they probably went back to the drawing board for maybe another 2-3 months, maybe they come up with something better. But you got to remember,
But
like,
it's fun.
different access, like people don't know what's going on everywhere like they do today.
Mhm.
Today you can come up with plans more, probably a little more ideal because you have cell phones, you have cameras everywhere, you have a lot of different technology that wasn't around back then, and it was the first of its kind, the first time that they were actually saying, hey, we need to roll X out to fix X. And again, it
But
was
it
a fail.
wasn't
I think
because
it was a
it wasn't
failure.
it,
But
it
go
wasn't
ahead.
because Reagan tried it. Reagan tried it, and the war on drugs already showed us that we get over policed. So this is why I say that aspect of it is bullshit, because you knew statistically black and brown people got over policed for the shit
Yeah,
that whites don't. So when you make this crime bill, you're going in there and you're saying, we have the results from the 80s. We know what's going on. We're now gonna tax you for being this way. Hillary Clinton and her rhetoric, the monsters, the whatever that was. Joe Biden said a lot of prejudice shit. The reality is, as Democrats, we don't want to admit that there's racism in this party as well.
there's
Just
racism in
because
both parties, no question.
exactly. So just
It's
because
America.
they it's America, there's still white affluent people that don't live our lives. So there was
I
racism that
agree.
went into that crime bill. Period. And for us as Democrats to look at it and try to act like it is what it ain't, that's the bullshit. And that's what turns off the other people that me and you always talk about that are out there that can read between the lines and they can say, hey, what have you actually done for black people lately?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be a realist, and sometimes you have to be a cynic. You know what I mean? Like, you have to sit down and look. You have to understand that this party, both parties for that matter, both parties, it's the same as the fucking presidential election, right? It's the lesser of two evils. When you look at the Democratic Party, are there some piss poor people in there? I'm sure, right? We know Joe Manchin. We know that they exist. We know that behind closed doors, there's probably a lot of them that are fucking dropping the N word, like old girl that with the booter down in Atlanta, the cook. Forget her name. I'll think of it. It'll come to me. Behind closed doors, they probably feel a certain way. They probably feel safer in their neighborhood. They probably would never walk into certain. They would never walk through a Baltimore. They would never walk through a Bridgeport. They would never walk through fucking Opalaka. Like, they would not do that because they don't feel safe. And it's the same as the people that police us, right? The cops who have never been there and don't understand it, but they've been hired to do that job. But I look at the Democratic Party and I look at which one, and the Republican Party for that matter, which one has people that look a little bit more like me, and which one has people that I might be able to say I have something in common with, right? Think about Trump. From a Trump standpoint, I don't have nothing in common with Trump except for the fact that I love money and bitches. You know what I'm saying? But that
And
ain't
he's a
gonna do.
Yankees fan.
Fuck him. Allegedly. That ain't gonna do nothing for me or my family or my kid in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I look at it. Look at Kamala, and is she the best candidate? Probably not. Like, if we had a choice as voters, as the Democratic Party, and we didn't get forced into her, right? Then she may not even be the nominee. And I agree with that when Republicans say that shit. However, she is a better option than what we had, because that was spiraling. Joe was spiraling like crazy. And it made more sense because they didn't lose the campaign dollars and everything that led up to it. Now you don't have to repitch a whole new candidate. At least you have someone who's been there for 4 years. If nothing else, you're getting continuity if she wins, right? Like, even if you have questions about is she the right one, you get some level of continuity, and that's enough to draw Democratic voters in, I think. But then I also look at her like, what do I have in common with her? Well, I'm brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm brown, her family's brown. She's gonna have a
I
vested
got
interest.
I got a lot in common with her.
You got the HBCUs. I mean, she understands what it's like to be looked at a certain way before you even open your mouth, just because of your skin tone, just because of the way you dress, just because maybe she doesn't have tattoos, but because you might have tattoos. Like, that's the America we live in, and
Right.
she understands it. And I would rather have somebody lead us that understands that could be sensitive to that in some way, than someone we know is completely detached from that. And that's kind of where I'm living.
No, and I think you rang the Democratic banner with that because we can criticize this party, but we all know that it's also a time for that. I'm just at the point where as a black person, we can't continue to lie, about our party either, but I'm in the marching orders. I got the marching orders. I'm going for Kamala. Ain't no smoke here. But don't fucking try to tell me this party is fucking squeaky clean. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, we know it's not. We know it's not.
Yeah,
And
but but
and I
but
don't
far
and I
but
don't like
far
I don't
left
like
far left Democrats like Vari will tell you it is.
oh, and I do agree with you with the villainizing of specific individuals that are part of the party, whoever it may be. In this case, now it's black men. And while I told you how I perceived it and how, what I think the message should have been or was intended to be from Obama, we see how it was accepted elsewhere, not only from Democrats, but also from Republicans, and how it's being spun. And so it does make black men feel a certain way. And it does make black men say, what the fuck? Ain't nobody done shit for us for ever, for eternity. You know what I'm saying? And now you're telling me that you need me on the front line. Now you need me, you're gonna call me. Like I get that feeling. I can 100% understand it, and I feel like it was a bad tactic, and I don't know that that's gonna resonate with a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
So
I
I agree
mean,
with
I
you
think
there.
it'll blow over. I think it'll blow over.
I don't
It's
think
just corny.
I don't think it steals too many votes, honestly. I mean, the reality
Nah,
is, let's call a spade what it is. Like, most of us not voting anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are. There's a good amount
unfortunately.
of black men that are going to get out and vote. I don't think it's going to have that same turnout like Obama. Where, remember when Obama popped up, like, I had people who have never spelled the word politic, that was out there ready to vote. You know what I'm saying? Just
But
because.
even in that same breath, to your point, right? They had a moment in time where Jeezy, I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did. You know, he really put his stamp on this politician for the first time we've ever really seen in politics, largely, right? Because even in the early days of rap, it was very Republican and it was a lot of things going on. And Jeezy put his name behind this person. People came out to vote in droves. And when they had that momentum and they had the boots on the ground, that's where they really should have continued to drive this spirit. And to
Mhm.
your point, here we are now trying to re-energize a generation, which I think she's done a very good job of. But you can't. For me, if I was to talk to former President Obama, listen, bro, you ain't do nothing for black people, specifically for black people. Don't come at us, bro. Don't come at us. You ain't got that capital to me. That's my feeling. You didn't do a goddamn thing for specifically black people. Period. I get
Yeah.
it. You were the people's president. I get it. But nah, bro. You ain't got that capital with me.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see how somebody feels that way. Um. I think. What also helped out was the fact that you had two people in that relationship, Obama and Michelle, Barack and Michelle, that you can relate to, right? So we're seeing Kamala out there and we're saying, hey, we can relate to this person. But her significant other, her partner, is the furthest thing from a black man. You know what I'm saying? So at least Obama had a black wife that black women can, connect to. You know what I'm saying? And be like, oh, look, that's so for us, we're just going off of a whim to say, hey, this is a black woman, we should support her if you're the right one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should support her. And I'm not saying I'm fully taking out the politics, the policy, and all of that from it, and saying, for the people that are making an emotional decision, they're going off of women saying, this is a black woman, protect black women, I need to do this, I gotta do this, right? But what they're seeing is a totally different person. Her husband is nowhere near close to us, doesn't look anything like us, doesn't even talk, walk, nothing like us, right? um so I think that's where you saw that huge showing for Obama, for Barack, is that you see this whole family, this whole black family, and you're like, I can just the same thing I just said to you. Who do I have more in common with? I have more in common with this black family as a black person in America. And hopefully they're going to have my best interest. And to your point, you may feel a certain way depending on who you are, that they did nothing for us. I agree with you that I don't think there's ever been a bill specifically written for black people, specifically, right? No, by either party, nothing to say, oh,
That
protect.
has been passed. Yeah.
That's been passed, right?
Right. Mhm.
You know, we see hate crimes. We see, as soon as we see it, for other people, it gets magnified. We saw the Asian thing for COVID. We've seen multiple times for Jewish individuals. We've seen it. We've seen it. You've never seen anybody say, "Yo, hands down, this needs the George Floyd bill, etc. This needs to happen. We have to protect black men, black women, black people." You know what I'm saying? Like it just it's not there. And I don't think we see that under Kamala either. She said it in the interview. I'd have to I'm everyone's president. I can't say I would be able to do something only for black. She said it. You know what I'm saying? So we can't
We
go
can't,
into it with unrealistic expectations.
and we can't fault her for that, because the challenge of being a black politician, the challenge of being a black woman, and being in that position, you have to be inclusive for everybody, right? Because if
Mhm.
you don't do that, you're gonna lose the little bit of faith that you do get despite your ethnicity. So we get it. But that's what furthers my anger for Barack. It's like, bro, we got it. We didn't. I mean, some of us did, chastise him, me included, for saying you were not a black president. I get it. You didn't do things for black people. We got it. We gave you grace. Don't come at black men like that, especially when black men vote very similar to black women. If anything, get out in these streets, beat the pavement, and try to help brothers understand their role. Don't do it like that. That was for me.
And just do something indirectly, right? And we're gonna move on. I don't want to keep beating this to the death. But do something indirectly. The student loan thing is an indirect thing that impacts black people.
eighty
It's the
percent of us.
biggest impact right there. You don't have to say, yo, I'm doing this for black people. It is an unfucking spoken rule in black community. If you can't see that would directly impact us, then that's a problem. You know what I mean? And again, you have the people that are going to stand on the side of, well, he tried, you know, Joe tried, he tried. Yeah, he tried. And what did he land on? He landed on veterans. He landed on people that have been paying for 30 years, elderly. You're not landing on that 80% black. You're not making it happen. And somebody needs to step in there and do it, whether it's him, whether it's Kamala. And if it's not going to happen, it's fine, right? But indirectly, you can impact us without saying, hey, this is a bill specifically for black people.
Right. Yeah. That should be the push. That should really be the push.
And I agree with you. Jeezy made a huge a huge impact there. I think part of the problem today is I don't know that we have um the musicians or the icons that can do that. Like Taylor Swift is the biggest one standing behind Kamala. And she's not popular in our culture. Granted, she's probably the biggest pop artist out there right now. Not probably, she is the biggest pop artist, but you don't have the ones that are directly what's the word I'm looking for? Connected to us, right? Out there like the Jeezy, from like a Cardi
Yeah.
B or a Beyonce. Like, where the fuck are y'all? Like, where the fuck are y'all?
We've been
Y'all
saying
screaming that black. Y'all screaming that black man. Where the
Cardi,
fuck are
Cardi, Cardi, Cardi being on her shit though. Let's give her flowers.
y'all?
As
But
uneducated
Cardi
as she
be on
was.
the. Yeah, no, I don't care. I don't mind that she's uneducated or she sounds
No,
uneducated. I
but
like
but I
that
mean,
she's on the
she's at
right
least
side of it.
said she's at least had opinions. She didn't
But I
like
think she's
certain
more
things,
against Trump than she is specifically
or
saying, "Hey," you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Plies,
No,
Plies is probably the one. Like,
she's had moments though. She's had moments where she was anti this. She felt her feelings. Then she's at least said something. To your point, is what I'm saying. Like she's at
I
least
got you.
said something. The
Yeah,
Rihannas, the Beyonces, the Jays, we haven't
but you
heard
need
them.
that. You need that.
We need it
You
though, but they're never gonna do it.
need it.
They're never gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Well, if they don't, I mean, and I think it's also partially. Remember when was it Janet Jackson that came out a couple weeks ago and she
With a
said,
titty?
well, that was not a couple weeks ago, but that did
Oh,
happen.
my bad.
A couple weeks ago on an interview, and she said, "I heard she's not even black." It's just because they're so far away from the politics, right? They have the means that if it lands a certain way, they can get up and get the fuck up out of here and go wherever they want. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
um, it is what it is. That might be why you
Wait,
don't hear.
100% point. 100% point.
But
Phenomenal point.
I would like to see like a Cam Newton. Cam Newton is like, I didn't like Cam as a player.
You hated Cam for years.
I think I hated Cam because I always had Panthers running backs, and he always stole their touchdowns. And I think that just rolled over to my dislike for him as a player. But I like him as a podcaster. I like him as the personality he's become. He got some interesting takes, and that's why I would say I'd like to hear him, speak on the presidency a little bit. Anyway, the most recent one, he said that if Eli Manning gets into the Hall of Fame, gets a gold jacket or green jacket, whatever the fuck color it is, gold jacket, that he should get two. He said if Eli Manning gets in, I deserve two. What say you to that?
Cam, I love Cam. I love Cam Newton. I mean, wish he stayed at the University of Florida. I wish he stayed at the University of Florida so he could have won some more chips. Cam is one of the best college football players ever of all time, guaranteed. NFL, unfortunately for him, I think he was a victim. I don't know if I'm freezing. Unfortunately for him, he was a victim of being on. He's a victim for being on a bad team in a bad franchise. I think if he went anywhere else, he'd have won Super Bowls. I mean, Carolina, his best option was a beat up Greg Olsen at one time and agent Steve Smith. I think he had an early Christian McCaffrey, maybe. I may be wrong. But,
he had Jonathan Stewart. He had D'Angelo Williams. He had some. I mean, they didn't make it off. They didn't make it to Super Bowl just because of Cam.
They were on IR every other week. Those guys were.
But he also
every other week.
There was a point where he had a good defense with Luke Kuechly leading that. Like, I get what you're saying. He didn't have the offensive weapons.
His number one receiver was the kid that Buffalo drafted first round, Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Remember Ray was like, Kelvin Benjamin is off the table in fantasy. I'll trade, but Kelvin Benjamin's off the table. Are you serious, dog?
Terrible.
Matter of fact, I gotta remind me to put that into the group chat later.
We're gonna do it now. But Cam, I get his sentiments, and I think he's right in talent and football wise. But I mean, you got the one thing that's elusive from you, bro. The ring. And I think he should get it maybe eventually at one point. I don't know what the stats look like, but Eli got the championship, man. And as bad as a quarterback as Eli was in the regular season and throughout the season, he's like Joe Flacco to me. When it came to the playoffs, he delivered, yo. And he got the rings, whether it was that defense and the NASCAR package. I get it. He's got a Super Bowl. It is what it is. And he's got Manning as the last name.
He's got two Super Bowls.
Yeah, that part.
Eli Manning's got two Super Bowls. Not only does he have two Super Bowls, he's got two Super Bowls where he beat the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not one thing where it's just like, yo, this guy has two Super Bowls. It's not like you could say he's a Brad Johnson. It's not like you could say he's a Trent Dilfer, where he was. Granted, the defense did carry a lot of the weight for the Giants, a lot of the weight.
Yeah.
But Eli did make some throws. Eli did have. I mean, there was a playoff. Eli was a thing for a little bit. He did show up. He did show up, and he did make the plays necessary against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. It's not like he was beating, the Chargers or something. He was beating the GOAT. He was beating a dynasty, probably arguably one of the best dynasties we've seen. Definitely the best dynasty we've seen in football.
Second best to the Yankees in all time.
Right. On all sports, definitely, there's conversations to be had. But in football, the closest would be the Cowboys in the 3 and 4 years, where they should have been 4 and 4 years. But the Patriots they went for like 5, 6 of them shit. So it's hard to turn that down and say the guy that beat them twice, the only guy that prevented this motherfucker from filling both of his hands with rings, doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Or saying if he gets in that you were doubly, because basically he's saying, hey, he gets a jacket, I should get two. He's basically saying he's twice as good as Eli Manning, and I don't believe that.
He was from a talent perspective. From a talent perspective, playing the quarterback position, he definitely was. The unfortunate part for Cam, you wasn't in the right system. You wasn't in the right place, and that's not on Eli. Eli's father literally forced him into the perfect situation for him, right? Cam didn't have that leverage. And unfortunately, Cam, you re-up with the Panthers a couple of times, maybe you shouldn't have. And then on your later years when you still could have played, you wanted starter from what we heard, what we assumed, when maybe you just came back into the league, found your place as a quarterback somewhere, and balled out. Because, like I've always told y'all, the older these quarterbacks get, the better they become.
Yep.
I think
We're seeing
Cam
Sam Darnold.
could have.
We're seeing that with Joe
I
Flacco right
wish.
now.
I wish. I wish the Jets last year, and I said it last year. I wish we took a flyer on Cam. I think we could have been okay, But again, I get you feeling like you know your worth. I get it, but it is what it is. Either you're gonna play the game that you know what it is, or you're gonna do what you chose to do, and you chose to know your worth and sit out. And here, it is what it is. But Cam, your career and Eli's career, two different things. You can't. While I think talent wise, he's better than Eli. The accolades go to Eli. That's just what it is.
Yeah. Look, man, we can't hold rings over LeBron with Jordan and not hold rings over Cam for Eli. You know what I'm saying? Or Peyton for that matter with Tom Brady, or almost any other fucking quarterback for Tom Brady. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, cut the shit. Cut the shit. The dude is the fucking GOAT. Regardless of whether people think he cheated or not. We saw him
Who
do it.
talking
We
about?
saw him Tom Brady.
Okay.
We saw him leave, and I'm just talking about the rings, how the rings play a part. We saw him leave Bill Belichick and then go do it again. Like, and the rings play a part in your greatness. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. If you don't get a ring ever in your career, you can never be called a GOAT, in my opinion. In any sport.
Yeah. Well, I think you can. I think you can. But you definitely, when compared to another person that has rings that got it out the mud or
Well,
got it
not
however they got it.
a Hall of Famer, a GOAT. GOAT is what I'm saying. Like, give me
Yeah, yeah,
Aaron
yeah.
Judge. Aaron Judge, as good as he is today, Shohei Ohtani, as good as he is, if they never win a World Series, they will
Dan
never
Marino.
they'll never be called GOATs. Dan
Dan
Marino
Marino.
will never be the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might be their
But he's
GOAT.
one of the best people ever. He's one of the best people to ever throw a
No, I
football in their
agree.
life, though.
I'm talking one. I'm talking one. I'm not talking 1A, 1B. I'm talking one. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah, no. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're
And
right.
so that's why
You're
I
right.
say rings
You're
play a
right.
part. But let me ask you a question, getting back to Cam. Give me a comparable career of someone who's in the Hall of Fame that
Dan Marino.
makes you feel like he would get in.
Dan Marino.
Dan?
For the yards, and the things that he's done. Because Cam, when you look at what he did
Did they
with
ever
his
let
leg,
Michael Vick in?
no, but Mike Vick didn't have the longevity or the numbers. Cam has the most rushing, and he's up there in passing. So I mean, if you're gonna look at it from just a statistical standpoint, he makes an argument to get in there. But what I was gonna say about Tom Brady, what makes him even more the GOAT, this guy went to Tampa, right, as an old man. Shit was looking bad, it was looking rough. And when you look at Aaron Rodgers, I'm a Jets fan, right? We thought it was gonna be one thing, and we don't know what it might be. Still a long season. Tom Brady was able to achieve that at another franchise, to change the culture, to make things better, to do things seamlessly and still come off. That's why he's also the GOAT, because he said, you know what? I'm leaving the evil empire and I'm gonna show you I can do it here. I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna make my teammates better. I'm gonna be the guy I wanted to be in New England and I couldn't be, and I still got one. And I think Aaron Rodgers is chasing that. And it's gonna be hard pressed to see if he does it.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cam Newton stats. He's going to get into the Hall. He needs to get into the Hall. He needs to get
He's
into the Hall.
got the numbers. He's
32
got the rushing
30
numbers, the passing
He's got
numbers.
32,000 passing yards, 5,600 rushing yards, 194 passing touchdowns, 75 rushing touchdowns.
Cam is a
Year
bad
over
boy.
year, I mean, he never broke 5,000 yards, so he's not the passing guy. But if you look at where he was coming in at 38, 3,500 average per se, he was still making that up in 5 to 600 to 700 rushing yards a season. And so
He's a
yeah, I
bad
think
boy.
he should get in. He should get in. Going back to his
If you would have put Cam on any other team that was built for success, he should have had 2, 3 Super Bowls, at least 2.
I'm not
Because on
I'm not
offense, on on offense, I'm gonna just say this: when you're talking about offense, just offensively doing your job, Cam was the most efficient quarterback in the league his entire career. Because regardless of how you feel about him, in the red zone, he was guaranteed to score. It was guaranteed. You put him in the red zone, what you gonna do? He got the zone, the read option. He's 6'5", 240. Most of your linebackers ain't gonna tackle him.
So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. And the only reason I say that is not from the talent. If you say the talent, maybe yes. I think for Cam, it's the ego. I think it was the ego. It was the same ego that stopped him. It was the Allen Iverson of bench backup. Like, you know what I'm saying? Again, going back to Cam Newton's career and now looking at it in hindsight, he had a great career. He had a great skill set. He had all the tools that you need to be great. I don't know that his ego gels with many coaches to lead or end in multiple championships.
I disagree because
Maybe like a Mike Tomlin. Like, it would have to be a very headstrong coach that knows how to deal with that type of identity, because Cam was an arrogant motherfucker, bro. He was super arrogant.
what player ain't though, bro? That's the thing.
Nah,
I
not
think
like
I
that.
think his shit.
Nah.
I think his shit. I have to disagree with you, and I'm gonna have to shoot Cam Bell. I think we magnified his ego because he's a black quarterback, but he ain't no different than Tom Brady. He even said the other day on this podcast, Tom Brady, and I said this multiple times, yelling at coaches, yelling at assistants. Cam puts a towel on his head in disappointment, and they shit on him. They find a way to shit on him. Aaron Rodgers, to your point, was like, oh, he pushed the quarterback. All this shit. I mean, pushed away the head coach. All this shit, quarterback, everything he did, there was nothing he could do that could make anyone feel better. Cam, you never heard from John Fox. You never heard from Rivera. You never heard from none of these guys that said he was a problem. At that level, you're going to have an ego. You got to have an ego. But compare Tom Brady and his antics, slamming the hell coaches out. Cam ain't never do that, bro.
You got to check the ego
Never did
at the
that.
door. You got to check the ego at the door to be a champion. Like, at times you have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't though. I don't think he didn't. I think we're just giving him a bad rap. He never was in a championship position, Steve. Never. His number one receiver was Steve Smith.
They made it to the Super
Steve
Bowl.
Smith.
They made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I mean, and bad decision making cost him. Bad play calls. That was a horrible coaching job.
Yeah, but
horrible.
Does that play call come from, I'm trying to keep my quarterback happy who likes to run the ball every time we get anywhere within the 12-yard line? Like that's the type of thing where I say ego plays a part, and if you're not the right coach, you're going to let him do that, and now you feel like it's okay. Ron Rivera, like Riverboat Ron, we've seen him go for it on fourth down in multiple areas where he shouldn't have. John Fox was just old white man, like he's just trying to make a legacy for himself after years of losing. Like, I think the coaches were just like, yo, we finally got our golden egg, which Cam was a golden egg, don't get me wrong, and they allowed his ego to overshadow the greatness that could have probably come from that team. Like, the fact that he only made it to one Super Bowl, only made one deep playoff run. There's something there. There's something there, and it's you can't say it's just bad talent, yo. You can't say it, because not only was it bad talent, they were in a shitty ass division all that time. He was like the Peyton Manning of
of
that
that division.
division.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm gonna jump on what you're saying. I think both of those coaches you named were shitty coaches. Ron Rivera, I
right?
think, was a career defensive coordinator. I know what you're saying, that you feel like you needed a remarkable head coach that had the brass to maybe tell Cam things. We don't know. I'm not gonna say that Cam's ego was too big, but I think you're right. But you're also asking for is once in a lifetime coaches. Tomlin is a once in a lifetime guy. Some of these guys are once in a lifetime people. I just think Cam gets a bad rap for too much shit. That's all I'm saying. I don't think his ego had anything to do with it. I think it was talent and shitty coaching. I get what
Cam
you're saying.
came Cam came back. I want to just last thing I'll say on him. He came back in 2020 and played for New England. Played 15 games, threw for 2,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, ran for 592 yards,
He was hurt. He
12,
was hurt a lot
12,
too.
12 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, well, he played 15. He played 15 games. So again, like to me, after a season like that, to then say I'm not going to be somebody's backup. All right,
That
dog.
was
Your
the part
ego's
I
too
said
big.
was dumb. That
Yeah.
was the part I said was dumb, but that's at the back end of his career. I don't think when he was in his prime that his ego was so, and it could have been, but I don't think it was so much more different than any other guy. But I do agree with you, and I wish that the Jets would have taken a flyer on this guy because we had Zach
Last thing.
Wilson and we
Go
had
ahead.
Tim Boyle as a backup. Tim Boyle, which how is that
Last
working for you guys, Miami?
last thing I'll say about Cam is his highest QBR year was 64.
Yeah, and
64.3 was his highest
QBR is
QBR.
QBR is a thing. QBR is a thing. QBR is a thing that they made up recently, right? And he was one of the earlier quarterbacks that had to deal with the earlier stats of that. Plus, again, he was throwing to Steve Smith, older Steve
Mm,
Smith. No disrespect to Steve Smith,
Greg Olson
but
was there. He was throwing to Greg Olson a lot.
Older Greg Olson. But I mean, the dude was efficient when he threw the ball. He wasn't throwing the ball. He wasn't asked to throw the ball a lot. Wasn't.
Like I said, he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's.
Hopefully, hope
I gave Eli a lot of shit because he played for um, the Giants, and if we look at the tail end of Eli Manning's career, right when he led the lead in interceptions and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, he ended bad. But if you look at his career stats, I'm gonna pull them up real quick just to say compared
I'm
to
gonna
Cam
give you
Newton,
a better.
Eli Manning, real quick. Eli Manning had 57,000 passing yards, 366 touchdowns. He had 20,000
He threw the
plus
ball more.
more. Agreed.
He had
Agreed.
more receivers.
Uh, again, if you're that good,
Let me,
make it happen. Make it happen.
let me
If you
ask you
and
another
I'm
guy.
and
Let me
all I'm saying,
ask you another guy.
I'm not saying Cam doesn't. I just said he belongs in the Hall of Fame. What
Oh,
I'm saying though is for him to make it appear like he's doubly as good as Eli Manning, these numbers don't tell me that.
I think he was just talking from an actual play level. The numbers are one thing, the accolades are another thing. You can't fuck with Eli on the accolades, but if he feels like he was just a better overall quarterback and athlete, I can understand that. Let's compare Cam to Phillip Rivers.
And Eli was also that he had that Iron Man shit going where this motherfucker started every single game from
Nigga never
when he
missed a game.
started his
Nigga
career
never missed a game. Jesus Christ.
until
No,
2016. 12 years. 12
Eli
years.
don't get enough praise. Eli don't get enough
Like,
praise. You don't get
yeah,
enough.
I
You don't
mean,
get enough praise. Shout out to Eli.
look, Eli is nowhere near
I
one
would
of my
compare
greatest
Cam.
quarterbacks of
I
all
would
time, but
compare Cam to Phillip Rivers. I think it's a better
Cam is way
comparison.
better than yeah, Cam is better than Phillip Rivers, I think. Yeah, that's a tough
Numbers.
one.
Look,
That's
look
a
at the
tough one.
numbers. Look
We're
at the
gonna have to come back
numbers.
to that. Let's look at
The numbers. Yeah, million weapons. Oh, I don't know what happened there. We lost him. Phillip Rivers, I think, would be a different comparison
I clicked the wrong link,
for Cam Newton.
the wrong screen.
Lost you. I think Phillip Rivers a different comparison to Cam Newton. The numbers are going to be crazy, but yo, look at all the weapons Phillip Rivers had on offense and never won. Antonio Gates, LaDainian Tomlinson, a young Keenan Allen.
Phillip Rivers, damn, Phillip
Right?
Rivers had 63,000 passing yards, dog. Phillip Rivers belonged in the Hall.
And he threw for like 60. But he threw for like I would argue that he probably has the most passing attempts up there because he threw for like 50 a game on average. Like I might be wilding, but he threw the ball a lot.
He had but he also had a 65% completion percentage. But he had 8,000 passing attempts in his career. I want to just real quick, I'll go to
What does
Eli
that
just
make?
to see how that compares. Eli, same thing, 8,000. So in the same amount of attempts, he threw for 6,000 more. Now to your point, better receivers, better receiving running backs, because remember he had LT, he had Austin Eckler, like
LaDainian Tomlinson.
yeah, Phillip Rivers was set up to win. I don't know this dude. Yeah, he
I
was
think
too
it's just San
busy
Diego. I think it's
Rambolo
just San
ties
Diego.
and making babies.
I think it's just San Diego. I think San Diego, the Chargers, I think are just cursed. I just think they're cursed.
Yeah, you might be
I
right.
just think they're cursed. But I feel that way about the Jets too. I feel like Joe Namath sold his soul, and we got to sacrifice a baby goat to get back.
What so speaking of football,
Yeah,
your coach was fired.
Steve, how long have I been saying? And I pulled up. I went to my. So I was a Jets fan. I went to this group. Right, it's the largest Jets fan Facebook group, and I went to my post of 2 years ago in August of 2022 on a preseason game where I told Jets fans I don't think Robert Saleh is a coach. I got comments like, go to New England, go fight the team.
Go back to
They're not
Africa.
fans. Shut the fuck up. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, right. Exactly. And I came back recently when he got fired and I laughed. I put a laughing emoji, a laughing comment on every comment. And I asked people, I said, oh, where y'all at now? I saw then 2 years ago, Robert Saleh was not a head coach. There was no accountability, no discipline, no strategy, no anything from him 2 years ago. He's not a head coach. Now, maybe after this experience, he might be, but he wasn't.
My bigger issue, here's my issue with Robert Saleh. First of all, I was on record multiple times giving this shooting him bail, saying give him another shot, give him another shot, give him another shot. But now when I go back and look at it and I think about it, the Jets defense was pretty good as far as, and I don't mean on paper, I mean as far as how they performed. The Jets defense should have been the steel curtain, as good as it was on paper with Robert Saleh as the coach, because we saw what he did with San Fran's defense. Like he made San Fran's defense look like it was the best since the Ravens when he was with San Fran. That's how he got the job. That's how he got the job. Let's call it spade a spade. He went to the Jets. You guys have so much talent on that defense, name-wise, on paper, so much. I would have expected. Now, they kept you guys in games in times where your offense looked like shit. You were stuck with Zach Wilson. You were stuck with some shitty quarterbacks. So they did what they were supposed to do. But that defense, as good as they were on paper, the names that were on that defense, and this guy being the defensive mind they pitched us that he was, whether he is or he isn't, they pitched us that he was one of the best, if not the best, defensive minds. I would expect for that Jets defense to be able to carry to a Super Bowl just like Tampa, just like Baltimore. And it didn't happen. And that's why I feel like Robert Saleh had to go. And I think I said that a few weeks ago.
I think that if you look at San Francisco, they have the best talent in the best position. They have Fred Warner, who's a monster. They got when Robert Saleh left, that defense didn't miss a beat. So how much of an influence was he really?
That's true.
Again, I think that he's a nice guy. He's a fit guy. He looks great. He's not a coach. Like,
That's
remember that
also a huge
game?
mark. That's a huge market to get your first head coaching gig in too. To
Yeah,
go to
but
a
it was
New
a
York market.
DEI hire. It was a DEI hire. That was Woody
That's racist.
Johnson.
You
It
sound like
was
a Republican.
Woody Johnson appealing to his faith. He said, "Let me go get a Lebanese guy who's of Muslim faith that will make me look good." And I think he's a good guy, but
I don't believe
he's not
that. I don't believe that.
a coach.
I don't believe that.
I'm telling you, that's what it was. And I'm not saying that Salah's a bad guy. I think
No. Back
the
when they were
coach.
hiring coaches, Robert Saleh was at the top of a lot of people's lists. I don't think he got hired just because he's because of
No,
his background.
I think Woody Johnson went after him specifically because he's a good guy. He's an organization guy. He's going to do the right things. And the Muslim faith thing is a thing, right? For
No,
Woody, it is a thing. I'm saying
it is, but that's not why he was
because
hired. I'm not gonna let you do that.
no, I'm saying Woody Johnson did it
If
because it
that's
was
the
good
case,
optics
then
for a
Mike
team.
McCarthy was a DEI fucking hire. This is Texas. Everything's
We,
bigger. Queers and
I wanted,
steers.
I wanted, I wanted Mike McCarthy, but it didn't work out. But I'm just saying, I think Woody Johnson did that to kind of let his fan base know that he could be diverse and get a good guy that has
No,
diversity. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I
I'm
don't
just
think
telling
so.
you.
I
But
don't think so.
but
Because
aside from that,
he could have done that and brought in a black coach. He could have brought in any, like
no,
it didn't have to be.
there wasn't any black coach at that time
You
available
could have
that
found
would
one
have
though.
made sense.
If you were literally trying to say, "Hey, look, I'm on the side of the people and I can be diverse," he could have went and got anyone, a Marvin Lewis, if anything, and brought him in. Like, there's so many
I'm
different
just telling you, hey,
ways
listen,
to
hey,
do
listen,
that
hey, listen,
versus
hey,
going
listen.
to a
You know
guy.
your ownership. I know you know your ownership. I know my ownership. I'm just telling you what it is. But
No.
at the end of the day, I don't think Robert Saleh is a good coach at all. I think he's a good motivator. I think he's a good person, but he ain't a good coach.
So let me ask you a question: if the Jets come out and they lose 3 games straight or 4 games straight now with a new coach, does that
Mhm.
still look like it was Robert Saleh, or do we get to say at some point? Because I'm ready to say it now. I'm ready, and VP's been saying it. Aaron Rodgers
Aaron
is
Rodgers.
done. Aaron Rodgers
Aaron
is
Rodgers
done.
has been looking like some dog shit. Aaron Rodgers has been looking like some cold, pure dog shit. And I think I don't think it's because of his ability. I think it's because he still thinks he's 25. Bro, he's I watch these games, right? And I got Brees Hall in multiple leagues, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
check it down. Check the ball down.
Yeah,
This guy rather go hold the ball 8-9 seconds to go for the home run where they're blanketed, mind you, instead of checking it down to Brees Hall. And part of that is coaching. So as a
it
head
is.
coach, you gotta have the balls to come to Aaron and say, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing? Check the ball down. Check it
Aaron
down."
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has the arrogant thing that I was just talking about with Cam Newton,
He does. He
in
does.
the sense that he feels like he's the best decision maker. He feels like he's the smartest man in the room,
In the
on the
world.
field at every second, right? And so what
Yep.
that leads to is it leads to him forcing the ball to Alan Lazard when you have a Garrett Wilson who is one
Who
of the
should
best
catch it?
wide receivers in the AFC. No question, right? I'm not seeing the right throws to Garrett Wilson. Is he getting the attempts? Is he getting the targets? Yeah, I mean his targets look pretty decent, but they're not the right fucking targets. You're throwing this guy fades for 30, 40 yards, or you're underthrowing him trying to get the PI like Tom Brady used to do, and that's not today's NFL. It's not working. So when do you switch? So now when you have your possession catches, you're only looking for Lazard. That's a problem, dog. I get it. You trust him. I get it. That's your friend. You guys came from Green Bay together. Garrett Wilson is a better wide receiver than Alan Lazard. Far better, not close. Not close.
You, you hit the nail on the head, and that speaks to why I said Tom Brady is the GOAT, because he went to another team. He understood his personnel. He's fine with checking it down. He's fine with doing the little things that get success. Aaron Rodgers' problem is He wants to be the 41-year-old guy that can make a miraculous throw. You don't need to do that at 41.
Right.
Check the ball down. Do the right things. So I don't know that
Like I
Todd
said, the
Downing
defense
coming
is
in.
keeping you guys in the game, so he doesn't have to do as like to your point. You don't have to do all
We've
that.
lost, bro. We lost the last 2 games by a total of 9 points. So I mean, clearly the defense is doing something, right? The offense just can't score. And again, Aaron, the throws are there, the people are there. Check the ball down. Stop trying to do the miraculous things to make a highlight. I think that's his problem. And that comes to your point. You need a head coach that's strong enough to tell you, hey, and I think Jeff Ulbrich is the winner of this all, right? Because he was up for head coaching jobs last year. Things just didn't bode well for him. The money didn't look right, whatever it was. He has an opportunity now to show the league what he could do, make his imprint now. He's good. He could be the Jets' future head coach. And I also think he's a guy that played against Rodgers, played before Rodgers. He's a former player. I think he's a motherfucker that's going to go to Aaron Rodgers and say, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And I think he has that leeway right now. He plays the Bills Monday at home. All the big lights are on you.
It's a big game.
It's a big game.
You're playing,
If we win,
the golden boy of the league. And
who shouldn't be playing right now?
Right. Well,
Josh
he shouldn't
Allen
at least
shouldn't be
finish that
playing.
at least shouldn't have finished that last game.
Right.
But let me
if we beat them, we're first in the AFC.
Yeah, that's not hard right now. Pause. Yeah, if you guys beat them, you're in a great spot, especially with the Dolphins. Yeah. Who knows what their future is going to look like? And I mean, hopefully, like we see a little bit. Like I want to see better shades from Huntley because I feel like Huntley is a good quarterback. I think he's going to be good enough to make some things happen for the Dolphins. But I don't know if they're saying that it's possible that Tua gets back. So after their bye, because they're on a bye this week, aren't they?
Yeah, that'd be great for my fantasy.
Yeah. But yeah, if the Jets can go out there and they win this game, then you have to just practice crowd control, right? Because immediately everyone's gonna come out and they're gonna be like, "Oh, look, see, we just had to get rid of Salah," but you still got to see 2-3 games. You still got to see a little bit more. You need a big sample size, even if they win this game. So, just I would say, as a Jets fan, keep your base under control a little bit if you guys win this game. Let me ask you some. I don't want to go through all the games today because we're already an hour in. So to kind of minimize some of this, I'm going to give you a couple teams, and I want you to tell me if you feel like they're going to continue the way they are as far as winning.
Minnesota, no.
I didn't even get there.
No. I know.
Minnesota's on a bye. Or if you feel like the team can turn it around. And I'll start with Washington. And the only reason is because they have a huge game today. I think we get a battle test for Jaden Daniels against Baltimore. They are 4-1. They're leading the NFC East. And the NFC East is getting better. They're going to get healthy. And so Washington's going to have some fights ahead of them. But do you feel like they're going to continue winning, or do you think that they're going to come back down to reality?
Oof. Man, today is a test. They're the little brothers of the Ravens. Even though they're an older franchise, the Ravens have, taken over that mantle as far as the football team in this area. It's going to be a hostile crowd. I think Jaden Daniels is going to win today, though.
Think they get it done?
I do.
Dog, Derrick Henry is an animal, and I'm so mad that Jerry Jones didn't go get him. But looking at, I don't know, man, it's in Baltimore. It's a young guy. He's playing against a premier defense. Like, this defense is different.
This defense
Baltimore's
this defense is taking a big hit over the years, and I'm gonna tell you why. We've seen far lesser quarterbacks come in here. Minshew came up in here and gave these boys a run. I think Jaden gonna give these boys a run. If he don't get hurt, I think Jaden gonna give these boys a run. I'm telling you
I
now.
think okay. So you think Washington continues? You think they're the real deal? All right.
I do. I do.
Let's talk about real quick Houston. Houston lost Nico Collins. They're going into New England. Should be a 100% winnable game today against New England. Their division is pretty ass. Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Indy. So they should have, an easy path to the playoffs and a home game. Do you think they continue?
I think they're one of those teams that they're going through an identity struggle. They know who they are. They're just think who they are. I think they get it done today. I think their coach is the binding glue. I don't know if Joe Mixon is back yet. He might not be, but I think that's a big loss for them because Joe Mixon was going to be their identity offensively.
Yeah,
I like questionable.
Yeah.
I think their win week was a testament to their grit, right? While I don't think Buffalo is a team it used to be, I think they still have the coaching in the aura. So I think Houston gets it done. I think they're not gonna be as easy breezy as teams thought they were. And you got to have some adversity. You got to have some losses. You got to look like dog shit to know who you are. You picked them to win the Super Bowl. So I still think they can be one of those teams.
Make the Super Bowl.
I hope they don't make the Super Bowl, but
Yeah, of course. I mean, you need the AFC for your, you need your team to win it. All right. Philly's 2-2. They were without AJ Brown for quite some time. Devontae Smith was down for a little bit. So they have looked pretty damn bad. They're coming off a bye. They're going into Cleveland. And we just talked about Washington. Do you think Philly bounces back and makes a run? Or do you think that we're seeing the real deal Philly team with their 2-2 record?
I hope they win today for selfish reasons because I picked them for my suicide pool. They should win because Cleveland is dog shit. Deshaun Watson looks a mess. Cleveland just looks in total disarray. Myles Garrett, I don't think is focused on football. I don't believe that Philly goes on a run because I think to VP's prediction, they might be the third best team in the NFC East. I think it's Washington, Dallas, then Philly, and even New York is knocking on doors, right? If they lose today, and that defense been good, and let's not discredit Daniel Jones. He played last week with none of his number one guys. And maybe that was better for him. Maybe he didn't need that pressure of having to want to throw to neighbors all day and just play football. But fuck them, right?
Yeah.
If Philly loses today, pack that whole shit up. Pack that whole shit up. If Philly loses to Cleveland today, pack that whole fucking team up. Pack Jalen Hurts up, pack AJ Brown up, pack Devontae Smith up, pack up what's his name? Didn't I tell you that fucking Bryce Huff wouldn't be? I told Eagles fans, you should have kept us already. Should have paid him money. Now we're Eskimo brothers because we got the guy that y'all should have had that won't play for us. Y'all got the guy that we gave y'all away basically that isn't as good as y'all thought he was. If they don't win today, pack that whole shit up. That city will fucking burn it down.
If Philly loses today in Philly, I think they have to get rid of Sirianni. I think they have to, or they have to really consider.
They got to pack that whole shit up
because it's falling apart. The wheels.
They got to pack that whole shit up.
I don't want to talk about this team, but I just want to remind people that they were dicky in the Saints at the beginning of the year. who are now 2-3, and
Oh
they're
my
going to be
God.
without.
Oh
They're
my
now
God.
2-3. They started off the first 2 games. They scored 90 points. Everybody's like, "Yo, the Saints are coming marching in. Get the fuck out of here." And now Derek Carr's hurt. So, New Orleans, they'll be back at the bottom of their division at the end of this year.
Who they
So
playing today?
they got Tampa Bay divisional game. Yeah, Baker and
Baker about
them.
to eat.
Yeah,
Baker about to eat.
like you
And
said, pack it up.
Shout out to me. Hey, Baker, you don't watch the podcast yet, but my boy, I was in your corner. I told him that you can make a turnaround, my boy. Let's go. Baker gonna eat today.
Yeah, we just saw too. He didn't get in, did he? We just saw too much. I saw too much. DJ Moore just scored a touchdown. Bears are beating the shit out of Jacksonville, 34-10. I just saw too much Manziel and Baker, so that's kind of what all made me questionable about this guy. But yeah, to your point, he didn't score. That's coming back.
But can we talk about Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, we could again. This he's trash. I think he's speaking for himself.
I mean, he's supposed to be the best generational
I
talent
told
since
you.
John
I told you
Elway.
what happened to this kid. You said it earlier. You said it about Houston. You got to go through diversity. You have to lose games. You have to play from behind. And he never did that. Not in high school, not in college. The kid never lost. He came to the league, went to a team that wasn't stacked, and he's been losing. And no matter who you put around him, they have shaken that team up, gotten rid of defensive players, gotten rid of offensive players, brought in offensive players, brought in Calvin Ridley last year, got rid of Calvin Ridley a year later. And this guy can't get it done. Brought in his favorite running back in ETN. They can't get on the same page. So they take him out, and now they got Bigsby starting. They can't get on the same page. Trevor Lawrence is the problem. Trevor Lawrence is the problem, and they're stuck with him because they paid him. That's your DEI hire right there.
gold locks and white jaw. Pause. I want to say
gold locks and white socks.
I want to say F.U. Cole Kmet because
he's eating two touchdowns.
Balling against he's killing me against my fantasy.
I need them to give the ball to DeAndre Swift here. DeAndre Swift would be a great touchdown right now. Second and goal on the 1 yard line in that game. Let's see. Who else do I want to talk about? I guess this will be the last one we can chat about, and then we can start to pivot into some new stuff. Detroit and Dallas. Detroit is 3-1. Dallas is 3-2. Dallas went and snuck a game out in Pittsburgh. Do either of these teams start to fade after this, or do either of these teams take off after this, in your opinion? Or do you think they just continue, where they are, both being kind of mediocre-ish?
I think Dallas is starting to kind of figure out who they are and re-identify what they want to be. Same thing with Detroit. So today's game, while it is very impactful, I don't think it's going to be the prediction of that team's future. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a talent-filled game. I think both teams, though, will cruise and find their way into the playoffs and noise, for themselves. I'm low-key a Dallas fan. I'm low-key a Cowboys fan. I think this team finds its groove. If the Cowboys win today, it's a way bigger momentum shift than for Dallas. I mean, for Detroit. Detroit winning. Detroit, despite all their success, no one ever believes Detroit's going to do anything, right? Even when they win, no one believes. I think if Dallas beats Detroit today, despite what I just said, being Detroit is a good team. I think Dallas gets on that slow and steady roll and cruises into a wild card at 11 wins, or maybe even a divisional spot, because something can happen in Washington. Washington is the wild card right now, right? So if we know Philly ain't making the playoffs like VP predicted, I hope they win today for my suicide pick. But I think Dallas gets into the playoffs with 11 wins, and hopefully shows up. But today's a barn burner, man. Today's a good game. I'm taking Dallas, and I think in the NFC North, I think Detroit, no matter what happens today, has a chance to still win that division because Green Bay up and down, Chicago, while young, they making some noise and they got a favorable schedule. Um, in Minnesota is fire. I just don't think that they're gonna be real. I don't think Minnesota's real at all. So I think Detroit can get to the playoffs and do something.
I think
I don't think they're gonna win the division.
I agree that I think Detroit, regardless of win or lose today, I think they will do well. Only because I feel like that team has more talent on paper than anyone in their division. Um, overall on both sides of the ball. And I feel like they are built for the football that's going to be played in December, the cold, when they have to go to Green Bay or whatever, when they're playing in Chicago or when they're playing at home where it's going to be cold. They're built. They got the two running backs, right? They got depth so they can withstand an injury or two, right? Minnesota's going to be dealing with the Aaron Jones thing. Can he get back after the bye? So that's tough. So I do think Detroit can still win that division. I do think they can still get into the playoffs, and regardless of what happens today. Dallas, I think the biggest thing is, do we see Rico Dowdle? Do we see that game that was played last week against Pittsburgh today? And do we see that going forward? If Rico Dowdle can just come into his own and he can get 80 yards a game and do some, get those short yardage, make it 3rd and 4 for Dak each time where Ferguson can get his little joints, CD, Tolbert, whatever, and then they take their shots or whatever, then I think the Cowboys have a great chance of making some noise. If that was just an anomaly game because they were just heightened emotions, then I think it gets challenging for us. We've got tough schedule. Our whole division has a tough schedule, so I don't want to make it seem like it's just Cowboys. Tough schedule, and then we still have our division games coming up. Washington looks good, so there's work to be done there. But if the running game gets going, I think it's a long day for the teams that have to play the Cowboys. And the fact that defense was able to do well last week with the two ends out, you got your bookends both out, and Lawrence and Micah, and Deron Bland was still out. Like, the defense is only going to get better.
Y'all suffered a lot.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I listen. I'm like I said, I'm a sneaky Cowboys fan. I agree with you 100%. Today's a litmus test. Is Micah playing today or not?
It's a good question. I know D-Law's not. I'll have to look at that and see if Michael Parsons is active. Yeah, he's on IR. And then also Brandon Cooks is going to be, when he gets back, depends how long that's going to be. Even though Tolbert is stepping up, which we've been asking for as Cowboys fans since we drafted the kid. But he's starting to look like he could do something, so that's a good thing too.
I don't think I'm gonna shout out real quick. Of all the other teams that get bailed out because their stars are injured, nobody talks about how much injury the Cowboys have been through. Nobody talks about that. Y'all have suffered injury after injury after injury. Diggs, Martin, whoever it is, y'all have not healthy for a long time.
Parsons is out. Michael Parsons is out today.
There you go.
But again,
from Vander Esch to Parsons to Lawrence to Diggs to
Tyron Smith, like we stay. Sean Lee, back when he was like, we've always had, a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I had the injury bug lately. Yeah,
but all right. So
Tyron Smith though, as a Jet, he been healthy.
Yeah, before we wrap up football, you just talked about Trayvon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs was out there smashing Cardi B allegedly, while she was 8 months pregnant. You muted? Why did you mute? This is not a conversation for you to mute up on, sir. This is a conversation where you should be shining. Shining, 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 shine. So
Listen,
reports came out that Offset, the name that she saw in Cardi B's phone through all that beef allegedly was Stefon Diggs.
that he saw. Right.
Did I say? Yeah, he. I'm sorry. Um,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's not a thought.
and I've said this, right? Nah. Listen, if you're pregnant and you're out here smashing random dudes,
Allegedly.
but just if you are, right? And I'm sorry to say this, but you are the bearer of children, right? This is why Mother's Day is much better than Father's Day, right? This is why you guys get maternity, right? So your partner could be doing dirt and you don't know. We can't blame you for that. We can only blame that person. But if you're willingly out here being promiscuous and you're pregnant, you're putting not only yourself in jeopardy, putting seed in jeopardy. So I say that to say, from that point, that's a little risque. But fuck it, Cardi from the Bronx. I love it. If she was smashing Stefon Diggs, hey, that's a weird pairing. I don't know how it came about, but Stefon Diggs, one of the real ones from the DMV area. You know what I mean? She moved a little bit closer to home with that one. She didn't want Atlanta boy no more. And listen, Offset, you fucking up. You've been the culprit of a lot of bullshit for a long time. She took you back. She didn't go through with the divorce. She was bullshit. And you still fucking up. So clearly, bro, you're not ready. And Cardi, I love her. I've been Cardi. I've also bashed her for the things that she's done. But for the most part, she's our Dominican sweetheart. You know what I mean? And I don't. While I think it was risque behavior, if true, just from the pregnant standpoint, hey man, you playing the game. Play the game to win.
The internet is undefeated. Internet is undefeated. When Stefon Diggs played for Minnesota, there was a video going around where they asked all the teammates on Minnesota, who would you not want your sister to date out of anyone on the team? And every single one of them said Stefon Diggs. And of course, that surfaced right now with this whole Cardi B business news. I'm not mad at him. 8 months is crazy, though. 8 months is diabolical. Like, women could do what they want with their body, dog. I can't tell women what to do with their body or not. But at 8 months, dog. You ever had a rental car? Have you ever driven a rental car? I'm sure you've had a rental car. You beat that transmission. You be neutral dropping it. You pull the e-brake. You slam your foot down on the gas every chance you get. You might try and drive it like it's manual, even though it's an automatic vehicle because it has the paddle shifters. You ruin and beat that thing to death.
This is your comparison. Okay.
What you think somebody's doing to an 8-month pregnant woman that's not pregnant with their kid? That's their rental car.
Jesus.
Women could do what they want with their bodies. It's just not the right thing to do in that case.
I don't think so either.
You're putting the baby at risk. I know doctors say, "Oh, you could do it. They should have sex, blah, blah, throughout." Yeah, that's fine. That ain't my kid. So you falling off the bed is not my concern. If that happens, I don't care if it gets damaged. I don't care if the transmission drops. I don't care if the tire pops. Like, that's what That's my point. That's what I was trying to tell people.
But they could say Offset was equally reckless, smashing other joints and possibly coming back to Cardi. I don't know,
He was
but
because he could have brought something back to her.
exactly, Cardi. At the end of the day, you are the bearer of life. You are the giver of life, and for you to willfully and willingly, potentially, allegedly smash another dude, that's risque behavior.
Look, if your marriage ain't working and you want to step out, step out. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying at 8 months, you could be putting the baby in harm's way, just the same as he could, by potentially bringing something home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some type of disease or something. But also, there's the physical aspect to it. There is the physical aspect, and people are gonna be like, you guys don't reach up there. You're right. But if I throw your ass around this bedroom because this is a rental car, it could lead to some damage, and that poor baby could be injured.
I think Steph would have been considerate, but
he's a
right.
football player, dog. He got CTE, I'm sure. We've seen Stephon Diggs act wild on the football field. What you think he was doing to Lil Cardi?
You saying he tore the pussy up, huh?
Dog. If I'm Offset, you know what? You can have her, dog. Just give me my child support. give me my whatever you call it.
At the end of the day, though, I will say we give mothers all the credit, right, for the rearing, the bearing of children. This, if
it comes with responsibility
again, and we're not saying it comes.
All
with,
jokes aside,
you're like Batman. Yeah, like Batman at that point. You got that Gotham City is bigger than you, dog. You know what I mean? And we're not saying that Cardi did this. We allegedly saying it, but
it's alleged.
If you're 8 months pregnant, you can't be out here skeeting with other dudes. You can't.
Let me ask you a question. If you Offset and you see, because we know how they are, we know how the Migos, they've been setting it off since they came into the rap game. I mean, you heard about them fighting all the time. If you Offset
little guy
and you see Stephon Diggs somewhere,
he don't want it with Steph. He don't want it with Steph. He don't. He's a little guy. Steph is.
Does he know that he doesn't want it? Like guy. Your emotions don't allow you to know that you do or don't want it with somebody. Like if you,
I don't know.
You were Steph.
I don't think
if you were Offset. If you were Offset and you saw Stephon Diggs at
I can't
All-Star game. We'll say All-Star weekend, NBA All-Star weekend.
Yeah. I can't because it's two schools of thought. We're all millionaires, so we should better. My ego, I don't know. I think maybe he can get a little pass because Stephon hasn't come out and said nothing crazy. It'd be different. He'd be like, or some Pac shit.
Sir.
You know what I mean? It'd be different.
Sir, if I'm Offset and I see Stephon Diggs, it is on site. He probably gonna lose. He would probably lose unless Offset got them hands, which he may, Yeah. It's on site. And let me tell you why it's on site.
You mad at her versus him? You mad at him versus her?
Yes. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
If it were EJ, if it were, me, if it were VP and you were with Cardi and Stephon smashed your girl, whatever, that's one thing. He don't know you. He don't know of you. Offset and Cardi B are a huge relationship in the industry that you hear about in the news at least once a week. So I exist. You know that's mine. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what she does or brings to you or initiates, as a man, you should be like, nah.
Your chick chose me, dog. I don't know you.
This is so it's different. It's different if you're Chris Brown and you got the broad that comes to, to the meet and greet and you smash her, and her man can't get mad, right? Because Chris Brown don't know you. He never heard of you. He don't know that you're in a relationship. Stefon Diggs knows who Cardi B is. Stefon Diggs knows who Offset is. And Stefon Diggs knows Cardi B and Offset are married. And Stefon Diggs knows that if she's 8 months pregnant, that it's Offset's baby. You just had blatant disregard from me, and it's on site if I'm Offset.
Ain't his man's. That ain't his man's. I get it. I get it.
Exactly. So even more reason why it's on site. And the fact that he's a big football player, it might be on site differently. It might be like old school, like I used to keep a Corona bottle in my back pocket when I went to clubs and shit. It might be that kind of on site, not like I'm gonna try and fight him because he's that much bigger than me. Like Offset got to get his lick back somehow, or he got to go smash Stefon Diggs' mom.
Why is his mom even in conversation?
Dog, this is warfare. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You smash my baby mom's pregnant, knowing that she's my baby mom. Your mom's got to get it. Not even the sister's gonna do it. It's got to be his mom's.
You're a sick. You're a sick individual.
He gotta go get it. Get his lick back. All right. What else? Let's see. Let me go back to our topic list. What else did you have on the topic list? Hurricanes came through Florida.
Randomly,
still make that quick. Go ahead.
Randomly, personal moment here. I went and got a vasectomy on Friday.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Went and got the old snip. It ain't the old snip for Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I know. That's how I feel right now. Where do I begin? So, I made a decision.
Is that like
beautiful children?
Is that a
adding one other beautiful child to my life?
Is that a sex change?
I'm good. I'm needing more kids.
Why are you gay?
No.
You are gay.
Dog, let me tell you something. I get into the spot, right? And my boy Nick,
how bad was the nurse?
Let me cook. All okay.
Right.
So I go
Which
to
one's
the spot. Nick, my boy that was the Orioles fan, light skinned old boy that was there. You met.
We fumbled. I met a lot of them. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, my boy Nick, right? Nick doctor. And he's like, dog, he tells me half of the story. He tells me half of the he don't tell me the whole thing. He's like, ain't nothing but ugly nurses in there. You good. I get in there. This nurse, she probably about 5'8".
She knew.
White.
Oh, and Nick like white girls 35. Too, right?
Can't remember
Nick like white girls. Now I remember.
Yes. So I get in there and I'm like, this lady is not old and fat at all. She's decent. And she leaves the room. She's like, well, just take everything off from bottom. I'm like, you sure? I'll be naked in there. And she's like, yeah, giving you your privacy. So then I'm on the slab. The doctor comes in. She comes in. I'm like, bitch, what you tell me to? What you get out for? What the fuck is going on? And so my meat is out, and she's looking at my meat the whole time the doctor's working. You guys moving and shaking my shit, cutting me open. I'm like, this shit is crazy. I'm like, oh, that hurts. All right, let me numb you up. So it was kind of a crazy process, man.
She's sitting there stop being a little bitch.
A crazy process. Nah, she's
that was a bad time for you to freeze.
Sitting there talking like, nah, my lady's right outside. She will kill me. But
she was there.
Yeah.
for
Wifey
moral
was just,
support.
no, I didn't let her come in. I was like, nah, just wait outside. Go to Whole Foods, do whatever you need to do.
She'd be
But
like, "What
she,
are you doing to him?
stop it! You're killing him.
You're killing him. He's useless now."
You seen him? You know how strong he is.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. So you got Snip Friday. That means that you are useless to her this weekend.
yeah. Well, we got in Thursday into Friday, so it's the
Mm.
best I could do. Best I could do. Yeah, I'm
So,
down till Monday. Although I felt
but how you
ready to
feel?
go the same day. Friday wasn't, I kept the cold peas on all Friday, because they tell you use peas, frozen peas, because it's flexible, whatever. I don't know. Yesterday was okay. Yesterday I felt a little bit more sore, but I also didn't take any pain medication at all. So I haven't taken any pain medication at all. So today I feel okay. Today I feel much better. I can
The
still feel the
things,
stitches and everything.
the things men will do to not have to wear condoms, yo. That shit is so crazy. We are crazy, yo. Men are crazy. We would rather get a procedure than put on a condom. Yo, y'all crazy. We crazy. We crazy. This
Yeah,
is this is
yeah. Hey,
yo, you wild. All right. Well,
have you had condom sex lately, by the way? No. Again,
fuck.
I had
What?
to do this. I had to do this. I had to do this
Yeah. Yeah.
of humanity.
Whew.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I can honestly say it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I
I
can
mean,
honestly
most
say,
people say at this point, I guess the way technology is advanced, people are saying medicine is advanced. People are saying that it's not. It really isn't. But whew, leading into it,
yeah, bruh.
mentally,
I was on the slab with my hoodie on. I'm hoodie up. I go in there, mind you, it's a cool day. I'm going there, sweatpants on, hoodied up. Right. I drop the sweatpants. I leave my socks on. I'm hoodied up, balls naked.
it
I'm
was
like, oh, this
cold
shit is.
that night.
It was cold that night. My dick is bigger than yours. It was
She
cold that
came.
night. I'm sitting there,
She
bruh.
came in like,
I'm
oh,
sitting there looking so
so
scared.
you're a grower.
Yeah.
You're like, no, it's cold. It's
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. It was
You got
crazy.
me
It was
fucked up.
crazy.
I would have had the Pooh Shiesty hoodie on or a mask, all of that. You are not telling my secrets.
Yo,
Fuck that.
my girl said if she remembers your meat to your face, she gonna fight her.
You guys,
She was
if
like, she probably seen a bunch of.
y'all bump into her at
You're
Chili's,
right.
she like,
Oh, I remember you.
yo, you got the birthmark, right? Don't you got the beauty mark right under your belly button?
Yo, that's the same thing my girl said. She said, "I'm gonna kill a bitch if she remembers you. I'm gonna kill a bitch."
Mm-hmm. Hey, how
I
you
said,
doing?
"Hey,
You
baby,
healing up okay? Dog.
I said, hey, baby, I'm memorable. You know what I mean?"
You
So
crazy.
yeah. Tell me about it.
Hurricanes came through Florida. On that note, there's two back-to-back hurricanes this past week. Hurricane Milton came through. Did a lot, did a lot of damage to the West Coast. Tampa area, all of that, they got hit pretty badly. Sarasota.
Vasectomy
Here in
to hurricanes. I love it.
yeah, I can't fuck with you. Here in Orlando, we did okay, for the most part. I think it was
Mhm.
expected to be worse than what it really was. Made it through. I didn't lose power. Got lucky. Very minimal
Mm.
stuff around here, except for like a lot of debris. I think that's why we do well on my streets because we're kind of surrounded by trees. And so I think as long as the trees don't fall, it stops some of the wind, which stops some of the damage and stuff like that. And we're not in a flood zone. So we got lucky. VP was without power for quite some time. I think he just got it back last night. And so I'm sure he's, you don't know how much you love AC until you don't have it. You don't know how much you love electricity or anything until you don't have it. So I'm sure he probably over there basking in his AC.
He from Miami.
Yeah,
He
but
from Miami, so he's used to it.
yeah,
He Haitian.
but he's a Karen, so no way that he was comfortable without his. You saw how much he was updating us in the chat. So,
yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you was too busy getting chopped up.
That's crazy.
Freddy versus Jason.
What?
Yeah. What else? Let me see. Did I have anything else on the list? Did you have anything else on your list? Let me check.
Oh, basketball.
Oh, I did have actually had a basketball. Well, the Yankees.
and
Shout out to the Yankees, yo.
Shout out to the Yankees and the Mets.
yo. Shout out to the Mets. The Mets too.
Shout out to the Yankees and the Mets.
Historically, the Mets have been that team
Philly.
that started out good and ended out like shit. And this year, the Mets started like shit and they've been ending really Paul's good. It has led to them moving on to the NLCS. They will take on the Dodgers, the stacked ass Dodgers, which is going to be a real test for the Mets. They got great pitching, they got great bats, they got a little bit of everything, good fan base. And the Mets they're looking like the Rudy story. You know what I mean? The talent on paper for the Mets doesn't look like they should be in the NLCS. So it's will and heart that I think is getting it done for the Mets. I'm not a Mets fan by any stretch of the imagination. So, but they deserve all Mac Jones is in for Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has been benched.
Jeez.
So shout out to the Mets. The Yankees have all the talent on paper and struggled a bit with KC. So the good thing is we got the Guardians, who are really not that great of a team. They were number 2, I want to say, in American League. So they're they've had a decent year, but they're being led by some guys that are not. Yeah, but they're being led by some guys that are not the guys, like Bo Naylor and his brother. Like these guys are not the guys. Jose Ramirez is the guy. That's the guy that I'm worried about. We just got to make sure we pitch him well. And their pitching is not as good as people make it out to be. Aaron Judge has to wake up. Stanton showed up. Juan Soto showed up. Glaber showed up. We had some guys show up. Aaron Judge has got to show up, and if he doesn't, it's gonna be hell to pay in New York. I tell you that right now. They're gonna start to give that man fits.
Yeah, listen, I truly believe, and I said this 2 weeks ago. And shout out to my boy Shane Rumley, who's a Philly everything fan. You know, he texted me, he said, I haven't even made it into the playoffs yet. I said, you wait, because I'm a Yankees and a Mets fan. And I think, it's been 24 years rather, since the Subway Series, World Series. I think we get one this year. And that would be phenomenal. That'd be phenomenal, man. The Knicks own Philly, the Mets own Philly. It'd be phenomenal for a New York Subway World Series this year.
That would be
pull
great.
up because 24 years ago I wasn't an adult, so I'm gonna pull up.
That would be great for the city.
Outside the stadium. Yeah,
that'd be great for the city. It'd be a lot going on. I'll tell you that.
What?
It's gonna be. There'll be a lot
going
on.
I'm pulling up, bro. 24 years ago, I was not an adult. I'm pulling up.
I would love to see that, man. That's once in an adult lifetime type of thing. Twice in a full lifetime if you're lucky. That would be really dope to see. So shout out to the Mets and the Yankees. Hopefully they can pull out their matchups. Basketball preseason has started. Bronny James is not looking great. So what I had on my list was does he deserve the heat that he's getting? Do you feel like he deserves the heat that he's getting, or do you feel like they are overdoing it on Bronny?
I think he deserves any criticism for sure. He should probably be in the G League. But we don't know. A lot of guys start out slow. And listen, his father's a Brian James. What do we expect? What do we expect? I think
As
he should
bad
go
as
to the
he
G League though.
looks, I was gonna say as bad as he as well. You answered the question. I was gonna say as bad as he looks. Do you think he's gonna make the game one roster? And I think he makes it just because it's gonna be this. It's the favor to LeBron. You brought us a chip. We're gonna give you this feeling. We saw it in preseason. We're gonna see you guys play in a regular season game. He's gonna throw you an assist. You're gonna throw him an assist. Whatever, right? Maybe they let them play together at some point until they get their first win. So you can say they're the first father son to win. There's all the stats and all the records and all the stuff that goes along with it, the history. So I think they allow that. But how long does it go on after that? Like, does the Lakers and JJ Redick say, all right, enough is enough? Because you also got to think about, does it cause other distractions, right? Is it going to cause a distraction with other guys on the team? Sure, they have this love for LeBron. He's their GOAT or whatever they want to call him. But at the end of the day, some of those guys that are younger probably feel like, dog, that's a roster spot that I should have,
Right.
and I might get sent down, or I might not get the minutes. But yeah, you're gonna play this guy who's got 0 points, in the last 4 games because he has the same last name. Like, do you worry about that? From a Lakers standpoint.
You absolutely have to. Absolutely have to, because there's only so much leeway that you can get for somebody's past status, right? And if you're Laker Nation, this is a cornerstone of the NBA. The reason the NBA is the way it is now is because of the Lakers franchise and their history to win. So, as a fan, somebody in LA, whether you're Cholo, whether you wherever you are, and you're a Lakers fan, you want to see these guys win. So it's only so much you can tolerate. One ring. It was a bubble ring. And he brought 2, 3, 4. Plus, they haven't set this team up to do anything else. Bronny is the main story, but he's largely the main story because they ain't got nobody else. AD is AD, but other than that, who they got?
Yeah, that other rookie that they picked up this year, the white boy, he looks pretty nice too. I think he's gonna probably be their best bet from a rookie standpoint. I think we'll see a lot of that. Um, I agree with you, man. I feel like they're gonna have to take a stand at some point. Maybe you let them, like I said, you let them get their first minutes. You allow for them to throw. Maybe you want the highlight of one of them throwing the other one a oop. So that's going to happen. Just know that. Wait for that to happen, and when it does, wait for the world to go out of control. All the fucking talking heads are gonna be, Dickie, and of course, so expect that and wait for that. Once that's done, they've won. They've played. He's ooped him. He's assisted him. Now we got to get back to business. Now we got however many games left. 80 games left, 76 games. By the time that happens, whatever, all of it. All right, we got to get down to business. We did our just due for you. Let's go make this happen. Let's go win some games and stuff like that.
I think the other bad thing about LeBron right now is that he's not attracting other free agents. The Lakers over time have been good at acquiring free agents, whether it's Shaq, whether it's Barnes, whether it's whoever. They're not picking up anybody worthy in free agency right now. Granted, everything right now to me is in flux, but they haven't gotten anybody in free agency to really round this team out.
You're right. You're right. I don't know how attractive it is of a place. I mean, they had all the rumors, right? The rumors were, oh, we're gonna get DeRozan, or we're gonna get this person or that person, and then they got nobody. So, there's got to be something behind that, and we just don't know what the reason, the why is behind that. I'm sure it'll come out. I'm sure it'll come out, but it's going to be a long season, I think, for them anyway, regardless of how it plays out with Bronny. Just because, to your point, the Lakers don't look that great, and as good as LeBron is, as great as he is, he's time is still Father Time is undefeated. And we saw him looking a little old and sluggish, and sitting out, big minutes last year and stuff like that. So, and they're inevitably going to need to do that for the playoffs. So, they're going to have to get some talent in there and hope they can get it done.
Fans, brace yourself.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward. Karl Anthony Towns was traded to the Knicks.
I love it. I didn't like it at first, but I love it now. And if they stay healthy,
Dykeman's going crazy. Okay. His mom was Dominican.
The Dominicans going crazy.
Yeah, they're going crazy out there. They're going crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like I really like DiVincenzo, man? I don't know if they sold high on him. Like, he had a great playoff. He looked good with Milwaukee as well. But I'm wondering if they sold high because maybe they saw, all right, he's at his peak based on what they're seeing in practice and all of that stuff. So it may turn out to be a great move. And we already knew, with Randall, like he was a liability for injury and all of that. So I think you make up the Randall. Actually, I know you make up the Randall in Big Cat. I just don't know that I like getting rid of DiVincenzo, but if it's a sell high and it comes around, 3-4 months from now, and we see that he's come back to normalcy, to where he was, then I think this makes the decision amazing for the Knicks.
You hit it right on the head. Everything you said was 100% true. With Big Cat, you're getting a proven all-star that can work, that gels with what you have as a core, right? Julius held the ball. We didn't know what he's going to be offensively, how he's going to work. Big Cat just works for this team. And you hate to see Julius but this is a better flow for us. It works. And everything you said, I agree 100%.
All right. Well, look forward to basketball season. As we get closer to that, we'll talk more about it. No question. But it is still football season, and kickoff is in 28 minutes. So let's see. Any last talking points? I don't think anything that we have to get to. Yeah, I think everything else can probably wait until next week so that we can get in under this time mark for us and start getting prepped up for some football.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I know you're probably trying to get down to them tailgates.
I don't know. I'm drunk now.
The old ball and chain.
Oh man, she's a rider. It's nothing. She just we got a little man. We got a little man. So friendly,
okay.
But yeah, all is well here.
All right. Well, I feel like you feel. I'm gonna go finish up my fantasy lineups, get ready for some football, and relax and chill for the rest of the day. We will be back next week. To those who joined us live, we appreciate you. We thank you. For those who watch it afterwards, again, we appreciate you as well. Check us out on Instagram at Castworthy_podcast. You can find us anywhere else by searching Castworthy, CASTWORTHY. Spotify is going to probably be the best place to check out the pod if you want to watch it afterwards, because you can watch the video or you can listen to the audio. You have both options there. And we do this every Sunday or every 2 Sundays, depending on what we got going on. So, link up, pop up, interact, like, love, hate, whichever you want to do. And worst case, have a great weekend and make that phone call like VP always says. Contact your loved ones. Tomorrow's not promised. stay safe. We saw what happened with these hurricanes. It is real out there in these streets. So until next week, Castworthy Podcast, we out. We love you and peace.